Hello, my friends. I'm David Mitchell. I'm 60 years old, and I've spent more than 3 decades walking alongside people over 50 on their journey to better health. Today, I want to share with you a truth that isn't easy to hear, but it's too important to ignore every 40 seconds. Right here in America, someone has a stroke. And after the age of 50, that risk isn't some distant possibility anymore. It's something that knocks on the doors of our families, our loved ones, even ourselves. But here's what keeps me hopeful: over 80% of strokes can actually be prevented. I've seen it with my own patients, people who thought it was too late, who felt too weak, yet by simply changing the way they moved each day, they found their confidence again, their independence, and the freedom in every single step. Movement doesn't just protect the heart or the blood vessels. It protects dignity, joy, and the simple pleasures of living. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Doctor, I'm not young anymore. I feel tired. Isn't it too late for me? But I want you to remember this: it is never too late to start. Those first steps may be slow, they may be small, but each one is a declaration. I choose health. I choose not to let stroke steal the years I still have ahead. And before we dive into the 10 simple exercises you can do right at home, I want to leave you with a question. If you knew that just a few minutes of movement each day could help keep stroke away, would you be willing to start today? One, brisk walking. My friends, in the last part I shared with you that 80% of strokes can be prevented, and the key is movement. But why does exercise have the power of medicine? Scientists actually call it medicine for your blood vessels, because every time you move, your heart pumps stronger, your blood flows more smoothly, and your vessels become more flexible and resilient. Blood pressure drops, bad cholesterol goes down, and the risk of clots decreases. In other words, every single step, every breath you take while moving is like a natural prescription, no side effects, and completely free. I remember one of my patients, Susan, 67 years old. She came to me terrified after losing her husband to a stroke. She said, "Doctor, I don't want my children to watch me collapse the same way my husband did." At that time, she could barely walk for 5 minutes without getting exhausted. So we started small, just a 10-minute walk around her neighborhood each morning. 3 months later, she was walking 25 minutes, her face glowing with health, and most importantly, she told me she felt confident again. She said, "Every step I take now feels like I'm reclaiming the youth I thought I had lost." That's why the very first and perhaps most powerful exercise I recommend is brisk walking. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Yet research shows that just 30 minutes of brisk walking a day, 5 days a week, can reduce stroke risk by up to 40%. Think about that. Force it all. That could mean years of life gained, years to watch your grandchildren grow, to keep driving yourself to the market, to tend your own garden, to stay independent. So I want you to imagine this tomorrow morning. Instead of just sitting with your cup of coffee, step outside, take a deep breath, and start walking. At first, just 10 minutes at a pace where you can still talk but not sing. Slowly, your body will adapt, and each day, you'll feel a little stronger. I know many people believe that after 60, it's too late to exercise. But let me tell you, your body, even right now, is waiting to heal, waiting to respond. We're never too old to begin. The only question is, are you willing to take that first step? So let me ask you, tomorrow morning, will you give just 10 minutes to your heart and your brain? Two, marching in place. My friends, whenever I talk about brisk walking, many people sigh and tell me, "Doctor, my legs are too weak, my knees hurt, I just can't go outside to walk anymore." And I understand that feeling deeply. In over 30 years of working with older adults, I've met countless patients who share the same concern. But here's the good news: I always share, to protect your heart and lower your risk of stroke, you don't need to walk far or walk long. Even right in your living room, you can still move your body in a way that makes a real difference. One of the simplest yet most powerful exercises for people with knee or balance issues is marching in place. It may sound small, but every time you lift your knee and put it back down, the blood in your legs gets pumped back to your heart. Circulation improves, your core muscles engage, and your back muscles wake up. Many people assume this exercise is too easy to matter, but I've seen the opposite time and time again. I remember a patient named George, 72 years old. He once fell in the bathroom because he lost his balance, and after that he was terrified of walking outside. So we started with marching in place, just 2 minutes at a time, right next to his sofa. At first he laughed and said, "Doctor, I feel like I'm just stomping my feet in place." But after a few weeks, he told me his legs felt lighter. His breathing was deeper, and most importantly, he felt confident again. One day he proudly shared, "Now I can walk into my backyard without needing my cane." You see, sometimes you don't need long walks in the park. Just a few minutes of marching in place in the comfort of your own home can transform your health. I want you to imagine this: every step you lift sends fresh blood up to your brain, to your heart. Every step in place is your body whispering back to you, "I am still alive. I still have strength." So the next time you're watching TV or listening to the radio, try standing up and marching in place for a few minutes. I promise you those small steps will lead to bigger changes than you ever expected. 3. Leg press with resistance band. Once you've gotten comfortable with marching in place, let's take the next step. Literally, I want to introduce you to an exercise that looks simple but is incredibly powerful: the leg press with a resistance band. A lot of people think that at 60 or 70 years old, muscle strength doesn't matter anymore. But in truth, the strength in your legs is what helps you stand up from a chair, walk steadily, and prevent the kind of falls that can lead to serious complications like a stroke. I want you to picture this. Your muscles are like the support beams of a house. When those beams weaken, the whole structure becomes shaky. Our bodies work the same way. If we allow our leg muscles to shrink with age, the risks of falling, osteoporosis, and even stroke after an injury go way up. That's why a small tool like a resistance band can make such a big difference in keeping your legs strong and flexible. I remember a patient named Linda, 68 years old. She came to me moving slowly, saying she could no longer climb the stairs in her own home. We started her on simple leg presses with a resistance band, just a few minutes a day, with steady breathing. At first she sighed and said, "Doctor, I'm too weak. I don't feel anything." But just a few weeks later, she came back smiling, telling me, "Now I can carry the laundry basket upstairs without needing my son's help." That joy, that independence is something I believe you can experience too. The magic of this exercise isn't about how heavy or intense it feels, but about consistency. Every press is a reminder that your muscles can still be nurtured no matter your age. And with every bit of strength you gain, your blood vessels get stronger too, lowering your stroke risk. So if you already have a resistance band, I encourage you to start today. And if not, a simple one from any sports store is enough to begin this journey. Always remember, it's never too late to rebuild the strength in your legs, and with it, your freedom. 4. Tai Chi. My friends, after talking about exercises that build muscle strength, I want to take you into a different world, a world that's gentler, slower, but carries an incredible power for both the mind and the blood vessels. I'm talking about Tai Chi. Many people think that to be healthy, you have to move fast, sweat a lot, push yourself hard. But the truth is, sometimes it's the slow, graceful movements that nourish us most deeply from the inside out. Picture this: early morning, you're standing in your yard. You take a long, deep breath. As you lift your hands, it feels like you're tracing a curve across the sky. Each step lands steady, slow but sure. Your body flows with your breath and your mind begins to settle. That is the spirit of Tai Chi. Science has shown that when practiced regularly, Tai Chi can improve balance, reduce fall risk, lower blood pressure, and ease stress. One of the hidden culprits that quietly raises stroke risk. I think of a patient named Margaret, 70 years old. After her best friend passed away from a stroke, she lived in constant fear. She couldn't sleep. Her heart raced and anxiety followed her everywhere. I suggested she try Tai Chi. At first she hesitated, telling me, "Doctor, I'm not flexible anymore. How could I ever move like that?" But she gave it a try, just 10 minutes each morning with a small group at her community center. 6 months later, she returned to my office with a bright smile. She told me she was sleeping better, walking with more confidence, and most importantly, she felt peace in her heart again. Have you ever felt that heavy cloud over your head, that tiredness in your body, and then noticed how just a few minutes of deep breathing and letting go could make everything feel lighter? That's what Tai Chi does, but on a deeper, longer-lasting level. It's like a natural medicine for both body and soul. I truly believe that after 50, we don't just need a strong heart, we need a calm spirit. Tai Chi gives us both. No noise, no pressure, just gentle movements that bring us back to ourselves. So if you get the chance, stand up, take a slow step, breathe deeply, and let your body flow with the rhythm. You may discover that preventing stroke isn't about fighting age, it's about learning to move with it gracefully. 5. Swimming or water exercise. My friends, after talking about Tai Chi's slow meditative grounding, I want to bring you to a completely different space, refreshing, weightless, and full of release. I'm talking about swimming or any kind of water exercise. On land, our legs can feel heavy, our knees achy. But the moment you step into the water, your body suddenly feels light, almost weightless. Every movement isn't just exercise anymore. It becomes a kind of therapy for both body and mind. Picture this, you step into a pool, cool water wrapping around you, supporting every motion. The weight on your knees disappears, no more grinding in the hips. What's left is the rhythm of your breath, the steady beat of your heart, and the gentle flow of water all around you. That unique environment lets you move your whole body, arms, legs, even your core without straining your joints. And science is clear water. Workouts improve heart health, lower blood pressure, boost circulation, all powerful ways to cut your stroke risk. I'll never forget one of my patients, Charles, 74. He was a former soldier, but arthritis had slowed him down so much that even a short walk was painful. We started him with simple water walking, just moving gently in the shallow end. Within weeks, he was swimming laps. Slowly, he regained his flexibility and strength. One day, he told me, "Doctor, when I'm in the water, I feel like I'm 30 again, and I'm not afraid of falling anymore." That joy on his face said it all. Even when the body ages, the spirit can still find freedom through movement. Have you ever felt like your body's heaviness makes you hesitate to move? If so, water can be your best friend. It doesn't just make movement easier, it washes away stress and tension too. I often tell my patients, every swim is a workout for your heart, and every heartbeat in the water is a promise that your body is still strong. So if you get the chance, spend a few minutes each week in the water. Maybe it's swimming laps, maybe it's just walking gently in the shallow end. It doesn't matter how fast or how slow. What matters is allowing your body to move freely without burden. Because sometimes the best way to protect your heart and your brain is to learn how to let go of weight, both physical and emotional. 6. Cycling. My friends, after talking about the lightness we find in water, I want to bring you back to a very familiar image, the slow, steady turn of a bicycle wheel. I'm talking about cycling, especially on a stationary bike. It's a gentle but incredibly effective way to build endurance in your muscles, and more importantly, to keep your blood vessels flexible instead of stiffening with age. Do you remember the last time you rode a bike? Maybe it was as a kid pedaling down a narrow alley on an old bicycle. Or maybe it was those fresh mornings riding through the countryside. That feeling, the wind brushing your face, your legs moving in rhythm, it's still possible to experience even at 60 or 70. And believe me, your body will thank you for it. I once had a patient, Robert, 66 years old. He was a marathon runner in his younger days. But after retirement, his activity slowed, his arteries stiffened, and his blood pressure went up. When I suggested he try a stationary bike, he looked doubtful. "Doctor, I don't have the strength to bike for an hour like I used to." I smiled and said, "You don't need to race anymore. Just spend a few minutes each day having a conversation with your body." And sure enough, after a few months, his legs felt stronger, his breathing deeper, and his test results showed his blood vessels had become more elastic. Science explains it simply: when we cycle, the heart rate rises. Moderately, blood flows better. The vessels stay flexible, and the risks of high blood pressure and stroke go down. But to me, cycling is more than numbers. It brings back a rhythm, almost like reconnecting with the familiar beat of life. I want you to picture this. Every pedal stroke is like a turn of time's wheel, bringing you back to your youth, while also carrying you forward into a healthier future. Not rushed, not pressured. Just a steady, gentle journey where your legs and heart work together to keep your body full of vitality. So if you have a stationary bike at home, start with just a few minutes each day. And if you don't, consider investing in one, not just as a piece of equipment, but as a ticket back to strength and resilience. And remember, when it comes to preventing stroke, it's not about speed. It's about patience, persistence, and the steady rhythm of every turn of the wheel. 7. Gentle yoga. My friends, after talking about the strength and flexibility we gain from cycling, I want to take you into a different space, quieter, deeper. This is the world of gentle yoga. Many people still think yoga is only for the young and bendy, twisting themselves into tough poses. But the truth is, for those of us over 50, yoga can feel more like a soothing medicine for the heart and blood vessels, gentle, calming, and surprisingly powerful in helping prevent stroke. I remember a patient of mine, Linda, 72 years old. She was often tense and her blood pressure kept spiking up and down. Medication helped somewhat, but her constant worry made it even harder to control. I suggested she try restorative yoga just 15 minutes a day, with very simple poses, sitting tall, breathing in, deeply exhaling slowly. At first, she was doubtful. But just a few weeks later, Linda called me, her voice full of surprise. "Doctor, I'm sleeping better. My heartbeat has slowed down, and most of all, I feel peaceful." And science backs this up. The slow breathing and gentle movements of yoga help lower cortisol, the stress hormone that quietly damages our blood vessels. When we relax, our arteries open up, blood pressure steadies, and blood flow to the brain becomes smooth and steady. I want you to picture this in the morning. Instead of rushing into the day, you give yourself 10 minutes to sit quietly, let your breath move through your body and feel each heartbeat. That's not just to exercise, that's a conversation with your body, a way to listen, to understand, and to heal. Yoga doesn't demand speed, nor does it require brute strength. It only asks for patience and a little openness. And sometimes those small, gentle practices become the strongest foundation we can build to protect our hearts, keep our minds clear, and stay far away from stroke. 8. Light interval training. My friends, after talking about the calm and peace that yoga brings, I want to shift gears and take you into a different rhythm, a little more lively, but still gentle and safe for the body after 50. I'm talking about light interval training, or what some people call alternating between slow and brisk walking. Picture this. You step into the park in the morning, take a deep breath, and start with a few minutes of easy, relaxed walking. Then you pick up the pace for a short while, your heart beats a little faster, your breath gets a bit heavier, and then you slow down again to let your body recover. That cycle repeats itself over and over like a song with highs and lows. And just like music, this rhythm trains your blood vessels to be more flexible, more resilient. I once had a patient named George, 68 years old. For years, he only walked at one slow, steady pace. But when we added just a few bursts of faster walking into his routine, the results were amazing. His blood pressure stabilized, his heart got stronger, and he told me he felt like he'd gained back a few years of youth. Science explains this well. When you vary the intensity of movement, your arteries get a workout, too much like how an instrument sounds richer and fuller with practice. The blood vessels stay elastic, circulation to the brain flows more smoothly, and the risk of stroke drops significantly. The best part, this method doesn't require fancy equipment or expensive memberships. Just a comfortable pair of shoes and a little patience. Have you ever tried walking in this rhythm before? If not, maybe tomorrow is the perfect day to give your body the chance to feel the difference. 9. Balance exercises. After talking about alternating fast and slow walking to keep your blood vessels flexible, I want to bring you to something that may seem small but is actually incredibly important. Balance exercises. After the age of 50, the risk of falling goes up a lot. And just one fall can lead to a whole chain of complications, broken bones, loss of mobility, and in some cases even triggering a stroke because the body weakens so quickly. I've seen this happen with many of my patients. One woman, Linda, 72 years old, tripped in her own living room and ended up in the hospital for months. Later, she told me, "I wish I had spent just a few minutes each day practicing how to stand steadier." Balance exercises aren't complicated at all. It could be as simple as standing on one leg or walking slowly while keeping your back straight and eyes forward. These seemingly simple moves actually activate the connection between your brain and your muscles, so your body can react faster when you're at risk of losing balance. Science shows that these exercises don't just prevent falls, they also improve overall coordination and keep our brains sharp. Imagine this: just a few minutes a day could help you stand steadier, walk with more confidence, and greatly reduce your chances of facing a serious accident. Have you ever tried standing on one leg while brushing your teeth in the morning? Start with that small habit. It just might change the future of your health. Deep diaphragmatic breathing. And finally, my friends, I want to share something with you that might seem so simple, yet it has the power to transform both your heart and your brain. I'm talking about deep diaphragmatic breathing. You see, most of us go through life breathing shallowly right up here in the chest. But when you learn to breathe deeply, drawing air all the way down into your belly, something amazing happens. Your body takes in more oxygen, your heart rate slows, and your blood pressure naturally comes down. I remember one of my patients, Richard, 68 years old. He struggled with constant anxiety and blood pressure that seemed to jump all over the place. I taught him a simple routine, 5 minutes of deep breathing in the morning and 5 minutes before bed. Just 3 months later, the change was remarkable. His blood pressure steadied. He was sleeping more deeply, and he told me his mind felt clear, almost set free. And science backs this up. Deep diaphragmatic breathing helps relax the blood vessels in the brain, calms the nervous system, and improves circulation. Imagine this. You sit quietly, place your hand on your belly, inhale slowly, hold for a few seconds, and then exhale gently. In that moment, you're giving your brain a priceless gift, peace and vitality. Have you ever noticed your heart racing when you're anxious? Next time, instead of letting stress take over, try a few deep breaths. You may be surprised at how quickly your body softens, how quickly calm begins to return, and all with something as simple as breathing. Up next, after those 10 science-backed exercises for life, after 50, let's move on to part 2. Everyday movement habits. Sometimes we think that in order to stay healthy, we need to hit the gym, spend hours with complicated workouts. But the truth is your heart and your brain aren't only protected by formal exercise sessions, they're also shaped by the small everyday movements woven into your daily life. Picture this, you're sitting in the living room watching your favorite show. After 30 or 40 minutes, instead of staying still, you stand up, walk a few laps around the room, stretch your arms, take a deep breath. That one simple act gets your blood flowing, sends more oxygen to the brain, and gives your heart a little care. Have you noticed how your mind feels sharper and more awake every time your body moves? I had a patient, Richard, 68 years old, who once complained that he didn't have time to exercise. But then he started with the smallest changes, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, spending half an hour each afternoon tending his garden. A few months later, he told me, "Doctor, I feel stronger without ever setting foot in a gym. Just adding a few small movements every day makes my mind clearer too." That's proof that no movement is ever wasted. Science backs this up. Simple actions like cleaning the house, watering the plants, or just standing up and walking a few steps help maintain circulation, reduce arterial stiffness, and even lower the risk of stroke. When we sit too long, blood tends to pool. Blood pressure creeps up and the brain is deprived of fresh flow. But every time we move, no matter how small, we break that cycle. So I want you to remember this. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to check off all 10 exercises every single day. What matters is weaving movement into your daily life. Every little step counts in keeping your heart and brain younger than your age. And it's in those ordinary everyday moments that you're quietly rewriting your own health story. So we've seen how small daily movements can keep the heart and brain young. But exercise alone isn't enough. That's why in part 3, we'll talk about nutrition and recovery after exercise, part 3. Nutrition and recovery after exercise. Now let's talk about something just as important as the workout itself, nutrition and recovery. Many people think building strength or protecting the heart and brain comes only from exercise. But the truth is your body grows stronger, not while you're moving, but while you're resting and refueling. Think about it this way. After a walk, a yoga session, or even light cycling, your muscles and blood vessels have been working hard. They need the right fuel protein to repair healthy fats for your brain and colorful vegetables for antioxidants that fight inflammation. A simple plate of grilled salmon with steamed vegetables or even a glass of warm milk before bed can do wonders for recovery. I had a patient, Susan, 70 years old, who exercised faithfully, but often skipped meals or grabbed quick snacks with little nutrition. She told me she was constantly tired. When we adjusted her diet, adding lean protein after activity, staying hydrated, and making sure she got enough magnesium and potassium, her energy completely transformed. She told me, "Doctor, I don't just feel stronger, I feel alive again." Science is clear on this too. Proper nutrition after activity helps lower inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, and restore circulation. And rest is just as vital. When you give your body time to sleep, breathe and relax, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure evens out, and your brain processes and repairs. So I want you to remember this exercise is only half the story. Recovery and nourishment complete the picture. Every time you choose a balanced meal, drink enough water, and give yourself real rest, you're not just recharging, you're protecting your heart, your brain, and adding healthy years to your life. And there you have it. When we care for our bodies with regular movement, nourish ourselves with the right foods, and give our minds the rest they need, All of it comes together into a complete circle of health. It's not just about preventing stroke, it's about living fully, clearly, and peacefully every single day. My friends, I've always believed this. We don't grow old simply because of age. We grow old when we stop moving, stop loving, and stop taking care of ourselves. After 50, it's not about pushing harder or following strict diets, it's about making wise choices. 3 or 4 exercises that fit your body, small daily habits that keep you active, balanced meals, and a good night's sleep. That's the golden formula to protect your heart, fuel your brain, and keep your spirits sharp and clear. I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, is my health today truly a gift to my future? If your answer is uncertain, then right now is the perfect time to start making changes. And if this video has been helpful, please share it so more friends and loved ones can learn how to prevent stroke. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I'll be back with more practical, science-based knowledge so together we can protect the most precious gift of all our health for ourselves and for the people we love.